I want to share with you guys today the identified 5 stages of grief to expect when a major event happens. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Pine Meadows Hobby Farm. I'm your host, Jerry Hansen. I'm going to be talking about a subject that is completely removed from homesteading, but every household or individual will be subjected to a trauma, a grief, or something of this nature, and there's been identified a pattern for the grieving process. I wanted to talk to you guys just about the pattern of the 5 levels of the grief process that people go through. First, a little bit on my credentials. I have extensive college education in psychology. I also have I was a senior pastor at a church, clergy, for some time. So those who are just finding this out, yes, I am a man of faith, have been, and will be, and getting stronger every day. And the reason I'm bringing up the grief process is because our family right now is going through some horrendous grief. I'm not going to talk about that in this show. If you guys want to find out more details, just go to my Facebook page. I posted just a real brief summary, and others have posted the events. It's on my Facebook page, Jerry Hansen. So those who are curious. But as a counselor, and one who is versed in, psychology, I wanted to share with you guys the 5 levels of the grief pathways in which we've identified. This is in no way meant to be a tool to help with recovery. I cannot give you guys those tools, but I'm going to share with you guys what you can do. But first of all, let's look at this graph. I created this little graph. It's the pathways. The blue line represents life. Your life's paths, your ambitions, your hopes, your dreams, your expectations. That blue line is your life's journey. And that's the path you see. You're at one end of the horizon and you see to the other end of the horizon. Then suddenly an event happens in your life. That event could take the form of the sudden loss of a close loved one, and which starts the grief process. It could mean a traumatic accident for you personally, or a health crisis. All of these follow that same red path that suddenly declines down into the depths. Now, of course, on the way down, the first step is denial. This can't be happening, and no way, this is like not happening to me. And as you descend down a little bit more, you get into the you get angry over, like, if it's a health issue. Some years ago I had a heart attack. It was of my own undoing. I was so angry with myself for allowing myself to get into that position in the first place because I ate the wrong things. There's the anger part over, why did that have to happen to my loved one? That's the anger issue. And going back up, the bargaining issue is like, why them? Or why me? Why couldn't it be somebody else? Why, I could have just done things differently, But why them? Why couldn't it be somebody else? Why couldn't it have been me, but why them? That's the bargaining part. And then there's the bottom level, the pity party. I call it the pity party. There's another term for it, but I call it the pity party because being there on several occasions, that's the level that's the label for that level I created for that part of the graph. Unfortunately, some people stay too long in the pity party part. I have a neighbor who they had a tragic event happen in their lives, in their household, a couple of years back. And the one person in the household is still in the self-pity, the pity party, not able to recover from that. Now that segues me into the branch of that red line as we start climbing up and climbing out of that dip. Once you realize nobody's coming to your pity party, it's time to start thinking about what now. I have to, like in the case of my my heart attack, my open heart surgery, I felt that, okay, I was dealt this deck, I might as well play this hand out and make things a little differently in my life, make changes in my life. So once I came to that realization, you can see as I was starting to climb out of that deep dip, which we also call depression. It's not healthy to stay in depression, but you need that as part of your grief process, but you also need to slip into that recovery aspect of it and start recovering. When I realized, okay, I made a mistake, I need to recover, I need to change my life, and I set myself on a different path. So the path here is climbing out. What really helped me is coming up with that saying, focus on your abilities instead of your disabilities when it came to that form of health crisis for me. In the matter of the loss of a loved one, that's a different scenario. While you're in the recovery process, there's somehow you need to find tools for coping with that loss. And if you're staying down in the depression part way too long, you're in trouble. You're getting yourself in crisis. I urge you to go seek professional counseling and professional help in your community. They are skilled to give you tools to help yourself out of that depressive state and start climbing and ascending back up that red line, going back towards the blue line. But notice I did not make this red line and this blue line connect. I left them separate because at this juncture it's individual on where you end up putting yourself. I myself personally, after my health crisis, ended up on another pathway. My red line ascended up past that blue line and a little bit higher on a higher plane, and I ended up continuing life's journey on another path, quite a bit modified because of the things I chose to do. So like I said, as you're coming out, or if you're still down in that slump, please get some counseling, get some help from your clergy, from a professional in the area. They're skilled to give you tools. I can't give you tools because I'm not your counselor. I'm not licensed to counsel you. You have to go seek a licensed, skilled counselor to be able to give you the tools for you personally to cope with what you're dealing with and help yourself out of that path of depression from these events that happen. They're going to be lasting events. They're going to be lasting feelings. And it's going to be hard. It's going to take a long time, and that part of it is the healing process, both from your health crisis or from a catastrophic loss of a close member of your circle, a family, friend, could be anybody. So hopefully I gave you guys some kind of insight on identifying the pathway for grief, the 5 different waypoints down that path going up. You've got denial. This can't be happening. You've got bargaining. No, it shouldn't be them. It's got to be somebody else. You've got the grief. The pity party. And the recovery. I'm coping personally with the events that recently happened in my own way, with skills that I've developed for myself that helps me and keeps me from being stuck in depression and down there in the bottom. Not quite to the recovery process yet right now. I'm still in the deep grief, the pity, and kind of stuck a little bit back in the anger too. So you can have a multitude of those all at once. It's not you do this, then you move on to the next one, then you move on. No, it could be the combination of 2, 3, 4, even all of them, except for the recovery part. The recovery is up to you on the coping mechanisms you've developed, or if you have sought help to get you out of where that is. But for us, it's going to take time. My coping mechanism is I need my distractions. So I do what I do. You guys are going to watch me do it. And these are keeping my mind busy so I don't dwell too much on the events that happened. Because if I do, I end up back in the hospital in what they call cardiomyopathy is what it's called. A couple years ago, I was in the hospital because of some deep grief that came over me in my heart. The lining around my heart suddenly swelled with fluid. So I've got to really watch that. That's a sensitivity in me, and that's another one of those disabilities I have. So I've got to watch that. So I've developed these coping mechanisms to distract myself from the events, and making this show is kind of hard, but I wanted to share with you guys and give you an outline, an idea of that graph, that pathway in which most all pathways of grief leads you. Trauma, death. So with my faith, I am strong. I will get through this. I've gone through it before. My family is tight. We're coping in our own way. We're all going to get through it. And it's been really tough since Saturday morning. It's been really hard. Thank you guys for tuning in. Please be safe and always be kind. To my family, till we meet again.